Good evening and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Business. You can watch us on Facebook, YouTube, on Amazon Fire TV, and now on KGNG Channel 26.8 TV in Las Vegas. Of course, you can always listen to us as well on our PHLV radio app or get our podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Any of those ways, thank you very much for tuning in. It's really a pleasure. Thank you again to Dr. Arlene Rillo and my very good friend Richard Aguila for coming into the show last Monday. So happy that we have another primary care physician available for the community. We have another great show tonight, but of course, let's start with defining what a niche is. So a niche is a specialism that caters to a certain market or group of people. If we are using a dictionary, it will define it as a specialized segment of the market for a particular kind of product or service. So the main question is, why is it important? Well, there's three reasons that I can think of. The first one, of course, is you stand out. If you are good in what you provide, service or product, you become very memorable in your niche. You stand out and will likely be remembered. This can be applied to any service or product. So think about some of the businesses now, some of the big ones right now that really stand out. When you talk about products, Bose. When you hear Bose, what do you know? Oh, good speakers, right? Known for exceptional sound. There was a time when Sony TV was known as the best quality TV. Of course, a lot of different brands have caught up to them. How about Mercedes-Benz? Luxury, right? Service. You can think about Hertz Rent-A-Car. I believe they're still probably the biggest name in rent-a-car businesses. How about Nordstrom? In retail, customer service, they're still probably the best. And then, of course, you've got Zappos online. In short, you can really build great branding and overall messaging that can truly help your brand to stand out. Second, ideal client. Key part in a niche is really identifying which demographic you want to speak to directly. It actually makes your life a little bit easier because you've got it narrowed down to who you're targeting. It's not too broad. And remember the saying, when you are talking to everyone, you are talking to nobody. So if you're talking to a particular niche, probably they're a lot less better to listen to you than when you're broad. The messaging and branding is all tied to the niche you have chosen. Remember, not everyone will be an ideal client, but knowing exactly who you want helps in filtering. Here's some specific clientele examples. Victoria's Secret, another big one. Or how about untuckit.com? I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but it's for men like me that are a little short and the bigger size, and it's always too long. Number 3, specialize in a specific area. Once you have accomplished number 1 and number 2, you do number 3 and you become an expert in your field. Now you could really stand out as not only an expert or good in the product or service that you do, but now you become a resource as well, where people come to you, ask you questions about, hey, tell me about your niche. How do I start a business here? You increase your credibility, and of course, it also builds trust with your clientele. A niche is so unique in a way in truly helping people that have the same passion for you. So, for example, we had an adult daycare owner here not too long ago, and she was so passionate about having adult daycares. She had built an adult daycare association, and now she helps advocate for other adult daycares owners. Echoes the same way. The care home industry, they help people open up care home businesses if you're interested. Now, there's also a thing called a restaurant niche. This is important for restaurants as it allows them to survive and flourish in a highly competitive market. Finding your niche in a restaurant business can be challenging, but rewarding once you find that. So for restaurants, the importance of finding a niche are less competition. Obviously, if you have a target market, marketing is more cost effective and better results, and higher profit margins. I'm not sure if you guys remember Leo, our tea guy, where he was opening like a Teavana, selling every kind of tea, then honed in on a niche where he's just selling high-end tea. And his profit margins increase. So for restaurants, here are the steps in finding your niche. Formality, decide, casual, fine dining. Menu items, what are you going to serve, right? Pricing, and then of course you start marketing. All right, enough of that. Let's hear it from somebody who's a real expert in finding a niche. Let's take our quick break, and then when we get back, we're going to bring in our guest to talk about niche in the restaurant industry. We'll be right back.
Just like a friend from back home.
This is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio.
PHLV Radio.
Welcome back. All right, let's bring in our guest for tonight. I'm so excited. Our guest is Arianna Pittard. She is the co-owner of Saffron Vegetarian Eatery. Good evening, Arianna.
Hey,
thank you so much for
doing?
coming to the show. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm good. Thanks. How are you, Sonny?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
I'm so excited to talk about your restaurant, but let's start with, tell us about yourself. Tell us about your background and, you know what, how did Saffron came about?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Arianna. I have been in the hospitality industry for just over 15 years now, specifically in food and beverage, and I have worked all up and down the strip for any of the biggest hotel names that you can think of, and also for some smaller off-strip organizations. But Saffron is my first opportunity to work with somebody, my incredible business partner and founder of Saffron Vegetarian, Tony, rather than working for somebody.
Good.
Yeah.
How do you like that? That's good.
I love it. It's something that was incredibly intimidating going from a cush corporate job. I have a family at home, so having something that you could really easily just go through the motions of something that is already established and stepping into something that you know is going to require a lot of very literal blood, sweat, and tears to get off of the ground was scary, but it's definitely been worth every moment.
Well, I wanted to ask you that questions because, of course, a lot of our audience that listen to this, it's either they have their own business already or they're aspiring. So when you're aspiring and you really want to open a restaurant, you want all your efforts to go to you, like you just said, but it's also very scary.
It's incredibly intimidating, and I found that one of the things with this venture in particular is if you're not utilizing that fear to change, then you can't change, right? And if we're not changing, then we're not growing. So it's scary, yes,
I like that.
but we've got to change to grow. So
Yeah, no, that's true. I like that.
very much so.
So tell us about Saffron Vegetarian Eatery. How long have you been in business and what do you specialize in?
So we've been open just over a year, and we specialize in upscale, approachable vegan and vegetarian cuisine. And what I mean by that is that there are absolutely other options for vegan and vegetarianism, but they are very much geared toward vegans and vegetarians. And Saffron exists specifically to offer an experience to people who may be a little bit skeptical about eating healthy or don't know how to take the first steps into just making better choices about what they're doing when they go out to eat. So Saffron really exists for everyone who is not a vegan or vegetarian and just wants to make better lifestyle choices.
Sounds like it's geared for me.
Yes, come on in, please.
No, that's awesome. That's pretty good. What made you choose this particular niche? Please walk us through the process of determining, okay, I'm going to do a vegetarian restaurant, or something like that.
So like you mentioned, the restaurant industry is definitely saturated in Las Vegas. There's a lot of competition, and Saffron was actually born in concept after a meal that Tony, my business partner, had in Vietnam, where he's from, at a vegetarian restaurant there. And he is absolutely not a vegetarian, but when he explained it after he left, he was so satiated and felt so good. And we both quickly quickly realized two things. One, that while there are absolutely, as I mentioned, other vegan and vegetarian options, they are very much fast casual. There is no, or there was not at the time, any element of fine dining to any of those options. But two, that all of those restaurants were geared toward people who are already comfortable with making those lifestyle choices. They're geared toward vegans and vegetarians.
They seek it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we are the exact opposite of that. And we realized that there was nothing in the valley for those people.
No, I like the concept because, as we grow older, and I'm the perfect example for it, I want to get healthier too. And sometimes but it's hard for me to completely change from what I'm used to eating. And then as far as competition, believe me, Chinatown, Spring Mountain Road is so amazing. There are so many restaurants there, but for some reason, everybody's thriving.
Yeah, no, it's great. I think it's so, the offerings down there is an element of similarity, but when you get down to the menus and the preparations, there's so much diversity that there's a lot of different niches in that one concentrated area. So it's definitely an interesting part of town.
I know, and it's so funny because I've been going to Chinatown for a long time, and then I finally tried that Argentinian restaurant, for example. Who would know there's an Argentinian
I've never
restaurant?
been. How was it?
It's actually pretty good too. And
check
then
it
there's
out.
an Italian restaurant there too. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's got
But
everything. Something for
I
everybody.
know. Okay, when you're doing a niche, of course, there seems to have more details in your presentation, from the ambience of the place to the food. Please tell us about the unique meaning of the details in your presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you've ever been into Saffron, or when you come into Saffron to see me next, you'll notice that there is a lot of hand-carved sandstone and woodworking. And the reason for that is that my team and I really believe that everything that is incredible is genuinely a collaboration of what's naturally occurring from Mother Earth and what mankind does with it, right? So we've taken the same steps to make sure that's represented in our food by taking these elements, these vegetables, and intensifying their flavor portfolios, yes, for a delicious meal, but also really focusing on their natural health benefits. So whether it is a naturally occurring anti-aging property or mood enhancer or a natural antioxidant, whatever it is, we want to make sure that what our guests are eating is just as beneficial for them as it is enjoyable.
Nice. Okay. So much details. But you know what they say, right? Everything's
all
in the
in the
details.
details.
That's right. There you go. Now, you mentioned to me that you have a new chef. Tell us about him.
We
Or
do.
her.
So she is, her name is Chef Josie Clemens, and she is actually the very first completely plant-based contestant to be featured on Hell's Kitchen. We are so excited to have her on our team. Yeah, she has such a deep understanding of the connectivity of these elements, these vegetables, and how they benefit the human body and mind. And we've really not worked with anyone with her skill set before. So she's, like I said, very new to the team, but she's already done some incredible things. We'll have a new menu in the coming weeks that is spearheaded by her, and we can't wait to see it.
Well, congratulations on getting her.
Thank you. We're lucky. We're glad to have her.
How did you reach out to her, or did she reach out to you?
We actually met her at a vegan festival a couple of months ago, Veg Fest. It's held downtown, and just mutual partners introduced us, and we hit it off right off the bat, and she expressed her interest in a partnership and went from there.
Veg Fest. So is that something that happens here every year? Or?
Every year. They didn't do it the year before last because of COVID. Everything because of COVID. But they picked it up again this last year, and the plans are for them to continue.
Hey, I hope you don't mind. Since you just mentioned COVID, any issues with hiring right now, or short staff?
Yeah,
or anything
absolutely.
You
There's
do
always
too?
issues with hiring, right? But we've really found a team that is just as passionate about their beliefs with regards to food and our relationship with food as we are. So we've been fortunate enough to be able to retain most of the staff that we had from when we first opened, which was in the middle of COVID. We thought, it would give us a good amount of time to find our footing and really get our bearings straight before we really opened up to the public, and before the public was really up and willing to get out again.
Sure. Good for you.
Yeah, that's been.
That's telling me that you probably have a good culture there.
Yes, it's all about the culture and the atmosphere and the team. I mean, without a team that shares your vision, you can't get anywhere. So.
I like that. Now, we preach that here a lot. You know, it's really important to have a good culture in your business.
Yes, absolutely.
And the ones that don't are the ones that have issues with losing
turnover.
Sorry.
Food and beverage is. I think it's the nature of the industry to have such high turnover, but we've been fortunate enough to,
That's right.
to not
keep
so
on
far.
knocking. All right. I have spoken so much about the importance of finding a niche in business. You heard my early monologue, especially in the restaurant business. What can you tell us about your niche that has truly given clarity in who to market and becoming expert in your chosen field?
So I think that we have definitely mastered the cuisine, the presentation, the preparation, but we have actually, this is not a business strategy that I would recommend following for most niches. We have done the exact opposite. I think to be successful in this industry, for most concepts, you really have to market to a very specific demographic in order to capitalize on the profitability of any venue. But because we so strongly believe that what we're doing will be of benefit really to everyone, we've broadened the base of our target demographic to exclude only people that are not already vegan and vegetarians.
Yeah. No, but that's going to work for you. So.
It has so far, so I wouldn't recommend it elsewhere, but it really has worked very well for us so far.
Well, you know what? It made me realize one thing, because, you know, you drive down Chinatown, for example, and you see all these different restaurants. There's Japanese, there's Korean, right? And it occurred to me, these are all niches.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they're open to everybody, but it is a niche still. It's Korean, you know?
Right.
Right? So, all right, best advice to young entrepreneurs looking to find their own niche.
So my advice would be to really consider what you want. And I know that comes off as a little bit selfish, but we spend so much time pleasing our friends and our families and our bosses that very seldom do we stop to think about whether we're doing what we really want to be doing. And I don't think that if we're ignoring our wants, if we're not taking care of ourselves, then we can't effectively take care of the people around us. And we certainly can't reach our goals as an entrepreneur by living somebody else's dream. So be a little bit selfish. Know what you want and put yourself first.
I like that. Thank you so much. Any final word?
I think we covered everything. We'd love to see you down there, though.
I will. Well, let's make sure everybody knows where you're at. So give us the address. I have 3545 South Decatur.
That is correct.
All right. We want everybody, please, to come and visit Saffron. And there you go. And if you see Arianna there, make sure you say hello.
Yes, please do.
Arianna, thank you so much for coming in, and thank you for doing this interview.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Sonny. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, to our audience, that is our show for tonight. I will catch you again next week. Thank you very much.